Jay here for Stretford, Paddock. This is it. This is the big one. Carabao Cup time. Joining me as always is Joe Smith. United hosting Crystal Palace in what can only be described as the most important competition in football. Yeah. Right or wrong, Joe?
Correct. We're defending it, so it is the most important. Instantly it becomes the most important because we have to hold it, we have to maintain it, we have to defend it.
Nothing matters more than defending your title.
Defending your honour.
Defending your honour, yes.
Yeah, which we deserve to do.
Exactly. Obviously. We're going to talk about the importance of the Cup in a minute. First of all, let's talk about my new favourite United player, Sofyan Amrabat.
Yeah.
Match-winning performance against Burnley.
Yeah, came on and we won.
Yeah, exactly. So what more do you want? 100% win rate.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Never conceded a goal as a United player.
And played in defence, out of position.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just a man for all seasons. Seriously, though, we've not really seen him. He came on, had a little cameo, but now he's fit. How excited are you about the prospects of hopefully seeing him sooner rather than later? Because we've been waiting for a little while.
I want to take a bit of pressure off him. I don't want it to be this thing where he's seen as the saviour of Man United.
I mean, he already feels like it is.
I know, that's what he's being billed as. That's what people are sort of, wait till Amrabat gets here. Amrabat and Casemiro, this is the team. We can take over from this. He can do it. And maybe he can do a bit of that. But let's not forget what we've signed here. We've signed a player who would have been sold for 20 million quid. We couldn't afford him, so we've got him on loan, who was playing for a mid-table Serie A team in his mid-20s. This isn't Jude Bellingham.
No.
Like, this could be a very good player, and it could be someone that is much like what we need, which is a specific player for a specific role. He plays deep, he's good on the ball, and he puts a shift in physically. He's sort of like a Scott McTominay who's better at passing and is defensively more well-positioned. He's not Casemiro. His defending numbers are nothing like Casemiro. He isn't a great tackler. He isn't someone that wins the ball back time and time again, but what he's good at, he doesn't get dribble past, which is good because Christian Eriksen gets dribble past all the time. His positioning is very good, and he's very good on the ball. So I think people are expecting a player that, first of all, he isn't, and second of all, maybe a quality that he isn't. But that doesn't mean he can't be a very important player for us. I just want people to refrain from thinking he's going to come in and all of a sudden that's going to make all the difference. His characteristics, I think, would fit well with Casemiro.
Yeah. In
that they can both play the ball well, and Amrabat can sort of press better and have more energy than him. But I don't think he's going to come in as this world-class central midfielder. We've got other areas that we need to fix before we can be a top team. And just chucking Amrabat in and going, go on then, lad, the free transfer or the loan transfer, who, like I said, is playing for a mid-table Serie A team in his mid to late 20s, isn't going to be the thing that fixes Man United. However, I do think he can be a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about him. I saw him obviously in the World Cup and in the Europa Conference final. I don't even remember seeing him in that, even being brutally honest. I know he was there. But there has been a lot of praise for him, a lot of expectation, as you've said, probably a little bit too much expectation. Yeah. But it's exciting.
It's very exciting.
Got a midfielder who can fill that sort of role that we need filling, and it feels like this kind of could be a new McFred but better, sort of a step in the right direction. And like you mentioned there, anything that can help out Casemiro is needed, because I feel like he has been exposed far too often. Last season a little bit, but certainly this season we've already seen it where he's been asked to sort of do the job of two men in midfield, and it's unfair on him, and it's not working out for the team either. So yeah, Sofyan Amrabat, we think, should play against Palace in the Carabao Cup. We'll get to our predicted 11s in a minute. Just on the Carabao Cup itself, it felt like, although after the Carabao Cup final we didn't have everything our own way, and there was a little bit of a dip in form in certain aspects, but getting that trophy, just relieved some pressure, didn't it, on Erik ten Hag, and also gave a positive feeling to the season.
Massively. And people can say, it's the smallest trophy, whatever. If he hadn't won that, there would be a lot of people calling for him to get sacked after that Bayern game.
Yeah.
There would have been look at what happened to Solskjaer. He was here for 2 years and had league finishes better than Ten Hag's league finish last season. The only thing he didn't have is that trophy. And as soon as the wheels started to fall off, it all collapsed and he was sacked. The trophy is such a necessary anchor to a manager's tenure at a club, because you can always go, I can make this team win, and look, I can prove it. There you go. Shining in the record books is proof of my success. Solskjaer didn't have that, and I think that is massive. And not that I think Ten Hag should be being nudged out. I just think that we've seen he can do it, and that and that's nothing to be sniffed at. And being able to do it again would be massive as well. Winning it and retaining it would also be fantastic. I know it's not a huge trophy, but being consistent in cups is a big way to be successful. So if you can do that, I'm more than happy to win the Carabao and play a strong team in the Carabao, because I think it's worth winning.
Well, let's not forget, Jurgen Klopp, Pep Guardiola, neither of those two managers in their first full season in English football finished in the top 3 and won a trophy. Yeah. I think Pep finished 3rd, didn't win anything. Klopp, I'm not even sure. I think he might have finished top 4, but he certainly didn't win a trophy in his first season. He's done something there that other managers who are the benchmark haven't done. Yep. And he's done it whilst inheriting a team that was struggling. We just finished 6th, and he had to do a lot of surgery on that team. And as well as having to cope with that, he's having to cope with all the excess pressure. And don't forget as well, people go, we spent all that money. Having to sort of budget during January, where he had to bring in Wout Weghorst and Marcel Sabitzer because we weren't allowed to spend money. So I think Erik ten Hag deserves praise for his first season, and a big part of that was winning the Carabao Cup. We saw a recent interview with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in The Athletic where he said the sort of the big disappointment for him, and one thing that stands out is he didn't have a trophy. He hasn't got a trophy to show for it, because whilst top 4 finishes are important, and we know how vital it is to try and get into that Champions League, winning things is what it should be about, and he has won something, so more power to him. Let's talk about our predicted 11s then. Joe, give us your team, talk us through it, bro.
Yeah, I've gone pretty strong, so I've gone with Onana in goal, who I think, he's our first choice keeper. No one else has even played yet this season, so I don't think Ten Hag's going to trust anyone.
Okay.
And goalkeepers can, there's no reason he can't play 2 games a week, because he's, barely running about, is he? Then in defence, it's a bit sort of mishmash bodged together. We've got one fit fullback, not just left back, but fullback.
Amazing.
In Diogo Dalot. So we've got to play someone who's not a fullback at fullback. I've gone with Lindelof on the right-hand side. Varane, who I'm hoping is fit to start, but might not be. I know he came on, but again, that was out of necessity of the injury to Reguilon, so he might not be fit to start. But assuming he is, I've put him in the middle. It's got to be Johnny Evans, because he's our only other fit centre-back. And I've gone with Dalot at left-back. I do feel for Dalot a little bit, because he's playing twice a week, every single game, because he's our only fit full-back. It'd be nice if he could get a rest, but I don't think Ten Hag suits, or he don't fancy Fernandes seemingly, does it, at left back? So
he's gone out alone, and I think he's gone to Granada.
So we don't have really anyone who can play there. Then in midfield, again, he came on off the bench, and I don't know whether he's fully fit or not, but I've gone with Amrabat, Casemiro and Eriksen. Eriksen's had the weekend off, so he's not played for a week, so he should be fit to play a Carabao Cup match. And then that front 3, again, I'm giving Højlund a rest because he's playing more minutes than we'd probably like. Rashford, in another one who never gets a rest because we need goals, and he's the only one who provides them. So I've given them both a rest. Martial, this is what your second striker's all about, playing in cup games, giving the first choice striker a rest. If you can't do this, what's the point in being here? So Martial up front, Garnacho on the left. And I've stuck with Fernandes because we need someone to create something, so he can play off the right. But strong side, but again, a couple of them are almost easing them back in from injury, so we're not going to see them at their best. But I think he'll go for something strong because he can't afford to lose. I'll
just say something there, looking at that team. You're right in what you said and the way you've justified it.
Yeah.
But that's a decent team.
It's a very good team.
That is if you look at that, okay, Johnny Evans, 35 years old, and we were all questioning before the Burnley game, but he had a very good game against Burnley, and we're talking about reserve players here, basically. Some of them are, some of them aren't. Casemiro, Amrabat and Eriksen is a very good midfield. Yeah. Garnacho and Martial should be able to offer you something against Crystal Palace, and we don't even know what sort of team Crystal Palace is going to put up. They could put up their resis. So it might even be, Crystal Palace's second string, and obviously Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro and some of those players are first team. But that's still a very strong team. I've gone similar, but not exactly the same. I've actually brought in the new kid, the Turkish lad, Bayındır, purely because I remember in the Carabao Cup last season, Martin Dubravka was getting games, and I think he might just go, look, if I'm going to give my keeper a run out, especially if I'm going to use him in January, if Andre Onana ends up going to AFCON, I better give him a run out now at home in the Carabao Cup. So this is the time to do it. And last season he did switch it around a little bit with the goalkeepers. I'm bringing in Dan Gore. My back four's the same as yours, out of necessity. I just wonder whether Dan Gore's been on the bench quite a lot, hasn't he? I just feel like is now the time to give him a run out. Yeah. Just give him a start. If you are going to have him on the bench all the time, which we have been doing, then you might want to use him sooner or later. And rather than throwing him in where it's like, I don't know, there's an injury and it's a big game and it's back to the wall, why not give him a start here and see how he gets on, especially if he's got someone like Amrabat with all that experience. English football experience, but footballing experience, as you've just pointed out, he's not a kid, is he? Then Bruno Fernandes in that midfield as well. I've gone for a front three of Garnacho, Martial and Pellistri. I'd like to see Pellistri getting a start against a team who, whilst they are Premier League, are not the strongest team you can face. I felt a bit sorry for him against Bayern Munich.
Yeah,
it was like,
tough, wasn't it?
Start against Bayern Munich and win us the game.
Yeah.
Also, by the way, you've got Alphonso Davies who's going to be running at you.
Yeah.
And you need to help out Diogo Dalot. It's like, how much has this kid got to do? And he's barely started any games for Manchester United. Alejandro Garnacho, there was a little bit of intrigue, weren't there, about him not playing against Burnley. I think his brother had tweeted some or posted some on Instagram and then deleted it. We don't need any more social media dramas.
Just chill out.
I know. And then Anthony Martial up front because, for the reasons you've said. Get involved in the comments and the chat. Let us know your predicted 11. Don't forget, these are our predicted teams, not our preferred teams. Let us know who you think is going to start, who you think is going to play, what you think the manager is going to do for the visit of Crystal Palace in the Carabao Cup. Talking of Crystal Palace.
Yes.
They're a bit of a funny team, Crystal Palace, because they're one of those teams where you think, Palace, we should be beating them. They're not a difficult team or a team where you go, oh no, it's Crystal Palace. But they do get results against Manchester United. Over the last few years, they've had some results. At Old Trafford, they've had some results under Roy Hodgson as well.
Yep.
So they are capable of getting something out of this. I think the mid-table in the Premier League, I know this isn't a Premier League game, so they're not mugs, to use a Cockney term.
They're a good team.
They are a decent team, aren't they? I think they've had a sort of, as 10th place shows, like ourselves really, a sort of up and down stance to the Premier League season. But yeah,
where did it? If the league season ended now, they'd take 10th.
Yeah,
Jesus, that'd be one of the best finishes in recent years. So they're doing roughly what you'd expect of Palace. They're about the team you expect them to be. They're not having a disastrous start. Hodgson's come back. They've kind of got that resignation of maybe that is our level, which I don't think is necessarily a problem. It takes a long time. They thought they could do better than him. They tried to go with the Vieira thing, and for a bit that looked good, but Roy Hodgson's a very good manager, and he proved that last season, coming back and what did he win, like 5 out of 8 games or something to win the season.
They scored a load of goals, didn't they, when he came in, because they'd had a difficulty under Vieira of scoring goals, despite this sort of idea of playing expansive football.
Yeah.
Hadn't really been scoring. Hodgson comes in, he's got this reputation of being a bit dour, a bit practical, and they just start banging in goals.
Yeah, and because he's good, and he motivates people. He's a very good manager, and it's going to be a tough game. The only question is, like you said, how seriously are they taking it? Because if they're thinking, well, you know what, we think we'll stay up in the league, and if we're ever going to take a shot at winning something, this is the one that teams outside the top 6 do win occasionally, so we'll go for it. Or they might say, actually, we've had a decent-ish start so far, we don't need to worry about the cups. Our aim is to stay in the Premier League, and then we'll worry about maybe the FA Cup later on. Once we've got 10 games under our belt, 15 games, whenever it is the FA Cup comes in, then we can maybe assess how strongly we go. So it depends how seriously they're taking it. I think an early goal for United would be massive in this one. Yeah. Because I think their heads will drop a little bit, because this isn't their thing, is it? They're not.
Did they do for us a few years ago in the Carabao Cup, the League Cup, Crystal Palace? I remember when we had the likes of Makeda and the youth playing for us. The youth. I remember, a bit of a bad night against Crystal Palace. Obviously, we have had some decent cup games against them, especially in the FA Cup, of course. But you can't take this game for granted. Roy Hodgson is a wily operator.
Good manager.
But I expect us to be able to beat Crystal Palace. With all that being said, give us your score prediction, my friend.
I still don't look at Man United and see tons of goals and big performances. So I'm going to say 2-0. No, 2-1. Yeah, I think we'll win.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I think Martial, who has had some decent cameos, but hasn't really got going in terms of goals or anything this season, not really had an opportunity to. This could be an opportunity for him to remind everyone that he's not a spent force at Manchester United Football Club. Yeah. So I'm hoping he can get on the score sheet, plus some of the other youngsters who've got a bit of a point to prove, perhaps. So I'm going to go 3-0. I'm going to be ambitious. I'm going to go for it. Being very ambitious there, thinking Manchester United can score 3 goals in a game. Let us know your score predictions. Get your phone out, film yourself, 30 seconds in landscape, send it to paddockmatchday@gmail.com, and we'll use your score predictions as part of our pre-match build-up for the watch-along. We're going to be here, aren't we, for the watch-along?
Yes.
Yeah, so make sure you are hitting like, share, and subscribe. Joe, where can people find you?
Sloppy Joe's podcast, new episode out tomorrow. Today? Yeah, wow, crazy.
Great stuff. You know where to find me as well. I'm Motty. That's been Joe Smith. This has been the Carabao Cup Crystal Palace preview. Thanks for watching.